And I realized that, man, everyone has a story. Everyone has gone through some kind of adversity in life. You just never know unless you ask them and talk to them. And I was always taught that you can learn from anyone if you're willing to listen.
And yeah. One, two, yes, three, I got to be a beast and be like 1, 2, 3, I'm hot, watch me unleash and it go 1, 2, 3, when you know that you the best out, chest out, I'm saying I got now, forget the rest now, 1, 2, 3, I got to be a beast and be like 1, 2, 3, I'm hot, watch me unleash and it go 1, 2, 3, when you know that you the best out, chest out, I'm saying I got now, forget the rest now. I rap with the soul of Frankie Beverly, amazed on these graceful beats, forever heavenly. There'll never be none after me unless we talking let us see, but get on high notes like I'm lettuce. It's the real dreamer and artist formerly known as.
Yo, what's going on, man? We coming explosive, man. Shout out to my boy Many Voices, man, for that introduction song, man. I reached out to him. I asked him could I use it without any hesitation, man. He let me use it. Y'all go check out my episode on his podcast, No Wednesday. But now, like I said, y'all saw the last 2 episodes. So now I'm glad to introduce my brother, man. He's been solid, man. We've known each other, about a year and a half, 2 years or so, man. When I tell you, in this season of my life, when I got some solid brothers around me, I definitely got that, man. And this guy, he's one of those solid brothers that I truly appreciate. And, you know, it was without hesitation that he had to be on the podcast, man. So I want to introduce y'all. Y'all already seen him before. He actually interviewed, if you watched the first 2 episodes, you saw that he interviewed me. So now it's my turn. We're finna have a conversation, one of those, you know how we do, those relentless conversations. So I want to introduce y'all my brother, the one and the only, Red. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? Listen, man, the intro got me hyped up. I'm ready to crack into this podcast episode, man. Look, you've been solid since day one, man, so it's only right that we made this happen, bro.
Oh yeah, man, no doubt, bro. You already know how we do it, man.
Hmm.
Hey, so how I want to start this, man, I'm going to hit you with this, which is different from what other people start their interviews off with. So I
Okay.
want you to introduce yourself in the form of who is Red before the man that we see today.
Mm. Just so I'm clear, you want me to introduce myself as my older self.
Yeah, I want you to take us on that journey of where you came from, man, that relentless journey to where you are now.
Okay, I can dig that. I like where you're going with this already. I see it's gonna be one of them episodes. Yeah. So, man, listen, man, Red was pretty much, I was a lost boy. You understand? I started my journey as far as going through my relentless era at a very early age. I would say about 13 years old. And the reason, for most 13-year-old, you just live free. You know what I'm saying? You have no worries in the world. Me on the other hand, at 13, I had a lot of worries. I had a lot of issues that I had to deal with at 13 and on up until my adulthood. So just to kind of, give a little preview of it, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into the details of it throughout the episode. But at 13, man, I began my journey as a lost boy, and my mom, she was addicted to drugs at the time, and I was staying with her, hands on. It was just me and her. My sisters was already gone with their other families and whatnot. So at that point, man, like I said, it wasn't as carefree as every 13, 14-year-old life was. Like I had to pretty much survive. You know what I'm saying? I had to make ways to eat, me and my mama to eat, literally. You know what I'm saying? And then that left me through a whole transition of trying to grow into a young man, but I'm still having all these built up frustrations and built up emotions that I don't know how to really release. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of friends. I had some solid friends. Some of these homeboys I had then are still my dogs to this day. But we never talked about none of the stuff I went through at that time because I didn't trust them. You see what I'm saying? I didn't have enough trust in them to take care of my heart because I felt like my heart was already being stepped on by the person that I gave 100% of my trust to, which was my mom. However, she was sick. But at the 13, 14-year-old Red, I didn't look at it as she was sick. I just let her, she was on drugs. addicted to drugs, and this is what happened when you get to drugs. So that transition led me on up into acting out, doing different things to try to get attention, and also just doing things for survival mode. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had to bring food to the house my mama can eat because she wasn't working. You know what I mean? And then that also led me to, as I get older, even as a man, I still had to learn how to transition from that lost boy to a man. I'm talking about I'm in my 20s and I'm still in a lost boy mentality. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, it was a transition, deep transition to the point where I am now. Now I'm a king. I'm a real man. I'm a solid guy. But it wasn't no easy road to get here. I'm 37 years old. I'll be 38 this year. You know what I mean? And it was a long road. And I'm here to talk about that today, man. But that's just a little snippet of it where we can get into.
Man, that is a lot, man, at a young age, man. And in the topic, man, of adversity. And how did you overcome that, man? At the age you are now, because I know your story. I know even the journey you've been on now. What steps did you take to overcome those battles? That stuck with you now. As a man, how did you overcome those things?
Lions never run. They're willing to hold it down for they tribe by any means. So my battle was my life, and I couldn't run from my own life, so I had to go through it. And I had to put my feet in the ground and push through. Um, what really helped me as I got older was knowing that I don't have to do this by myself. Knowing that I can rely on, knowing that I can rely on people, knowing that I can trust people. Um, I really didn't start trusting people outside of my mom until I met my wife. We was 18 years old when we met. She was a freshman in college, and I was fresh out of jail. You know what I'm saying? And but my wife was the person that pretty much motivated me and encouraged me and built me up to the point to where I say, you know what, I can get through this what I'm going through mentally. Because at the time I wasn't going through what I was going through physically. I'm 18 years old now, so my mom's already clean. She's back in Atlanta, but mentally the damage was still done. You see what I'm saying? I had to work through that. So what helps me out, even to this day, is personal growth and development. I have to pretty much dig into myself to see what it is what weak areas do I have in life, in my life, what weak areas. And if I pinpoint those weak areas, which is not easy to pinpoint because it's looking at yourself in the mirror, you got to judge yourself. You see what I'm saying? And no one likes to be judged, especially not by ourselves. So I'm looking at myself in the mirror and saying, what are you weak at? Where are you getting attacked at the most? Right? And once I give myself that honest observation, that's when I dig into learning how to strengthen that weakness. And I can do those things by reading books about what I'm trying to strengthen. I might talk to different people who've been where I'm trying to go. You know what I mean? I know I reached out to you multiple times just to kind of get some encouragement and some direction. And pretty much that helped me out because now that formed a blueprint for me, and that helped me to move forward with the blueprint, even though it's still going to have some adversity on the way. But now I have the motivation that I once needed to keep pushing forward.
Yo, first of all, man, shout out to the wife, man, for real. Hey, we definitely got to show love to the wife, man, because we as men, man, we have to show the love to our wives because of they impact our lives too. So, man, and I know how
Hmm.
important your family is to you, and I know just the impact that your family has had on you,
Yeah.
man. And even for it shows the pattern where you said that's where you begin to trust. And I know coming from that
Right.
background, man, it's hard and it's difficult to have that trust, especially coming from the streets too, man, because we know how the people are, we
Yeah.
know how the streets are. So I want to ask this question:
Hmm.
what would, at this point now, the man
Yeah.
that you are now, the king that you are, what would you say to that young man back then?
Hmm. I would tell him to believe in yourself. I would tell that young man to dream. I would tell that young man to visualize a better situation because I wasn't dreaming back then. You know what I mean? All I could see was I couldn't see the brighter days that I'm in now, that I live now. I couldn't see that when I was younger. I mean, I really didn't even think I was gonna make it past 18 because I was gonna be either gunned down in the streets or put in. I didn't think I was gonna make it past 18 because I was in so much emotional turmoil and mental turmoil that I was having suicidal thoughts a lot, right? So I would tell that young man, hey, visualize the situation. It's gonna get better, but I need you for yourself. This is not all you see, it's not all it's gonna be. Everybody goes through storms, but that's the point. We go through them. We don't stay in them. You see, God's gonna bring us through them and help us to be able to see a out of the situation. Now, just said and done for someone who's never had a dream before, who's never had a goal or a vision before, better or seeing the better situations. But if I would continue to pour into that young red. I would continue to pour into him constantly, just so he can start believing in himself and then start moving accordingly. So that's what I would give myself if I could back then.
So, what made Red start to dream? When did you? What was the awakening for you to start dreaming?
Man, I would say when I had my son, my firstborn, I knew then that this is me. I got a child. So I started seeing a patient then. So I'm like, I got to be there for my son. At the time, it was just me and him. As far as relationship, I wasn't with my wife at the time. But I said I got to be here for my son. I'm facing 30 years in prison if I go to trial. So I said, forget all that. I got to be here for my son. You see what I'm saying? And when I met my wife, and a couple of years later, we got married at 20. First daughter, who just graduated this year. Salute to my daughter. But then that's when I started seeing the pictures come together. I said, wow, I wonder how it's going to be 10 years from now when my kids turn teenagers. I wonder how I'm going to be 30 years from now when I have grandkids. I wonder how it's going to be to have a nice family home, something that I really didn't have a traditional home set up. I wonder how it's going to be. I started seeing stuff. And that's really when I started dreaming and opened up a lot of doors to even more dreams moving forward.
Man, and that's amazing, bro. And just to see that moment of awakening, because I'm a firm believer that God will use different
Mhm.
people or different scenarios to wake us up and to cause us
Yeah,
to see, because it's a scripture in the Bible
right.
where Jesus touched the blind man's eyes, and at first he was seeing men as trees. And sometimes our eyes have to be touched again
Mhm.
because we're not seeing everything clearly. Sometimes it takes us several moments,
Right.
because we can be hard headed. I know I'm hard headed, and it takes us a few times to be knocked upside the
Mhm.
head for us to have our eyes open so that we can see clearly. And that shows what it took for
Yeah,
you to be able to see clearly. So, and what I
right,
want to and what I
right.
want to talk about, and I know you as an author, as a speaker, you're very
Mhm.
inspirational, bro. You pour back into the youth, man. You pour back into those that's behind you, man, and even in front of you and beside you, man. What
Mhm.
made you become that speaker? How did you know you was gonna be the speaker that you are today?
Yeah, man. You know, I've always been the big bro, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? I never had a brother. I got all sisters. I got three sisters. One young, one older, two younger. I'm in the middle. So, but I always wanted a brother. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I gravitated toward my homeboys. You know what I'm saying? Whether they was younger or older, I just gravitated to them. And even as I got older, I can remember being like 18 years old and the little homies in the neighborhood, they just looked up to me. You see what I'm saying? So I felt even as an 18-year-old, if you got people that look up to you, it's your responsibility to guide them the right way. You see what I'm saying? So that leadership was in me at an early age, right? And then the problem though was I didn't really see the big picture of being able to impact people with my words. I didn't really see the big picture until my homeboy. When my home shout out Nar, man, I've been knowing him almost years now. We still tight to this day. And we was talking about purpose a few years ago. Passion and purpose. And I'm like, we was talking like, man, I don't really know I don't know what my purpose is. I said, I know I'm passionate about a lot of things, but passion can sometimes, like a light, a candle can go away. You know what I'm saying? Go away. But if it's your purpose, I don't care how far you try to. And my was like, I think your purpose is your words, talking to people. Especially look like us. You know what I mean? And especially, I'm thinking about like, dang, okay, who am I talking to? Like, who needs to hear my story the most? And I thought about it, dang, the little 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old like myself needed a story then. So it's my responsibility still as the leader that I am, the one who people look up to, the influential man that I know I am. It's my responsibility to use my story to help fit them. You see, I realized that, yeah, I got my story. I got through my life at that time. I got through those, but it wasn't for me. I got through it cool, but the story was for somebody else to help. You see what I'm saying? So as I started seeing that, I started taking the responsibility very serious to pretty much make sure I'm very intentional about inspiring others. That's why my social media and my poet, my aim is red inspires when it comes down to my brand. So my goal is to every time I talk to somebody, I don't care if it's a 5-minute conversation or an hour conversation. I don't care if it's a text message, a phone call, in person, meet a random person. My goal is to inspire them by the end of that conversation. I can only inspire one person throughout the day. I can go to sleep with a peace of mind. You see what I'm saying? So my goal with my target, my brand is Lost Boys to Men. That's the name of my book, but that's also my target audience. I want to target these young men who were in similar situations that I was or different, but just going through some sort of trial that they may not know how to handle and deal with as a young adult. That's when I'm going to come in, tips and tools, and encourage them and build them up and uplift. Say, hey, we can get through this. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I take it very serious, Noel. But my big shout out to my boy Nard, man. He said you need to be doing this, bro. And at that time I didn't believe in myself. That goes back to what we were talking about earlier. But once I started believing in myself and seeing the results of me doing it, I said, yeah, this is it. This is purposeful at this point because I enjoy doing it. It's more happiness and giving than there is in receiving. So when I give of myself to someone else, they get inspired, and then the byproduct is I get happy in return. So I'm like, this is full circle right here for me, bro.
Man, that speaks volumes, man, because one thing about it for me, when it comes to purpose, a lot of people, especially in the field that we're in, because we know now everybody wants to be a speaker. But
Hmm.
it goes back to, and in the community that we're in, one of the key things is where's your heart at? And
Right.
a lot of people, they want to do it for the money, they want to do it for the fame, but they miss the
Hmm.
point of purpose. The purpose, man, the purpose of you going through what you went through is so that you can impact somebody else's life. You don't go through
Hmm.
what you went through for nothing. That's a part of purpose, because your purpose, there is a purpose in that purpose. Let me
Facts.
rephrase that. There's a purpose in your purpose. So
Yeah.
when you understand the purpose in your purpose, you understand that, hey, it's not for naught that I'm going through this. It's a reason that I'm going through this, because right now I'm that person. Though it hurts right now, though it's painful right now, I'm that person that can go through this. God has given me the strength. Yeah, sometimes I may want to give up. Sometimes I may want to quit. Sometimes I may want to question myself. But God already knows, hey, He ain't gonna give up. I'm already giving Him the power to keep going. But there are people that we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna come in contact with that's gonna be on the edge of quitting. And that's
Yeah.
when the purpose in our purpose kicks in, because we've already been through it. And now, because of what we've been through, we have the tools in us, we have the wisdom in us to impact their lives. Because now we've
Mm-hmm.
been through what they're going through, and we know somewhat of the journey, because it's not going to always be the same, but it's going to be similar. So
Yeah.
we understand where they're coming from. We're understanding the pain. I often tell people, be careful about how you look down on somebody when they're in a certain season, because we're all going to hit a point in a season of adversity where you're going to
Yep.
need somebody else.
Yep.
And, we've been through that point in season of adversity, so that now that we can help somebody else, and you never know whose life you're going to impact. It may be somebody that may be far ahead of you, that God is going to use you to impact their life. And that's what I love about this
Mm-hmm.
journey, man. We both in the past year, we've been through some things. But we also see where
Yeah.
God is taking us. We see how God has empowered us. We can look back on it now and be like, man, I remember when I felt like this, but I can also see God's hand in it. I can see God strengthening me. I can see God giving me that push. It didn't feel like it at the time, but we can still trace His hand. And it may not have
Right.
been Him speaking to us directly. It may have been me speaking to you, or you speaking to me, or one of the other homies speaking to our lives. That's why it's important, the circle that you have around you, because that circle that you have around you, they can empower you. Because a lot of times we have
Yeah.
people around us in the circles that we in, instead of them pushing us, they telling us to quit. Instead of them pushing us and empowering us, they tell us, well, if I was you, I wouldn't do that. You're right, you're not me.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't been through
Right.
what I've been through, so how can you even empower me? How dare you tell me to quit? And you're supposed to be somebody that's supposed to be my homie. You're supposed to be somebody that loves me, but yet you telling me to quit. That's what I love about our circle, man. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
love my brothers, man, because even in the moments that I felt like quitting, man, y'all don't realize it, but y'all strengthened me. Y'all gave me the encouragement to keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
circle is important, and it's powerful. Yeah,
Absolutely, man. And just to add to your wisdom, man, the circle, man. I can just to get the audience a recent situation, bro.
yeah,
I haven't been on social media in like 2 weeks at this point. But really, that was intentional, because for maybe I would say a couple months before that, I was losing a lot of I was losing a lot of encouragement. Like, I had my podcast going. I had everything going how I was supposed to win, but something felt empty. I was like, I'm not really motivated no more. I'm not really inspired. How is Red inspires not inspired? Because I'm human. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go through down moments, and I was going through a down moment, and I was reaching out to my circle. Left, I might send you the same text message I sent my partner, just so I can get some better insight onto my situation as far as encouragement and being built up. And you know, uh, something changed for me. Something changed for me. You sent me this video on Instagram, as well as one of our other homeboys, L. Same video, right? And the video was talking. It was a little real, little social media real. Get back in your mode, bro. A lot. That was the point of the video. The video was dope. Get back in your mode. It's time to get back in your mode. Was like, okay, all right. I know I'm slacking. I know I'm just whatever the case. I got to get back in my mode though, right? And then I can remember I talked to my homie, right? We talked for like 50 minutes, 55 minutes. I called him just to, check in and see what you been up to, bro. Man, this man talked to me for 45 minutes. I done 55. But he poured so much into me. I was like, man, this conversation I was just supposed to listen. This was God. God was telling me, look, call him, but you just gonna listen. Because after that conversation, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna take a 30-day social detox. I'm gonna get back to the basics, get my morning routine going. Because when I was doing my morning routine consistently, I was having great days. I had bad, but great days. So once I started doing that, and I'm still on social media detail, I got 2 weeks. So y'all ain't gonna see me for another 2 weeks. Probably by the time the pet podcast come, I'll be back on there. But the point is, my circle surrounded me. They came in and literally surrounded me and protected me from all the trials that I was really getting through. They was walking through it with me. You know what I'm saying? Whether y'all know it or not, y'all was walking through it with me. You know what I'm saying? And y'all helped me through it to the point now. You can hear it in my voice. It's go mode, man. Like, salute to the circle, man. Salute if y'all got a circle, man, that's solid, man. Look, don't take that for granted because everyone doesn't have that, even as adults. So if you got a circle, even if your circle is 2 or 3 people, it don't matter. Take it to heart, and be a source of encouragement to them. So that way, everybody can eat off the table, and no one gets empty. Everybody pouring into each other, and it's just a circle of life, man. And I'm glad I got my circle, man. For real. Salute to y'all, man.
Man, listen, it was a point of time in my life where I was trying to handle this thing by myself, and I was pushing, but the strength that I have now because of that circle, like you said, and we walking with each other. In
Mhm.
it's different seasons that we're carrying each other,
Right.
and bruh, if y'all don't hear nothing else from us, know that it's important to have that powerful circle. I can't emphasize that enough. That circle is very important, man,
Yeah.
because it was a point in time I also had the wrong circle around me. People I thought that was for me, but when
Oh yeah.
adversity
Yeah.
hits, they ghost. But man, I'll say this: I was riding home one day, and God hit me with this. And I couldn't really be upset with them and mad with them anymore because God was like, you got to know the place for each person in your life. There are some people who can just handle, who can be there for you during the good times, but then there's some that are just made for the adversity. But then you have those who can walk
Yeah.
with you through every season of your life. So when I started
Hmm.
looking at that, man, I can't no longer be upset with them because now I realize, hey, they weren't there for me. They weren't there for me to carry me through my season of adversity. They was there to carry me, be there with me for my good seasons. And even
Right.
still, I was there for them in their season of adversity. But I can't expect me from them. That I think sometimes in life that's the biggest mistakes that we make, and we have those expectations that just because I did it for you, you're going to do it for me, and that's not always the case, man.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's definitely not always the case, man. It's definitely not. So I'm just you know, the support system is real, man.
Yeah.
My circle, man, is real. I like no doubt about it. That's when you said earlier, as far as like what you go through those trials for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was going through my trial, like my recent trial we just spoke about,
Yeah.
that's when I got this opportunity to speak. It was in my trial, this opportunity to speak time because I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
I pretty much would have missed the opportunity. And I'm glad y'all was able to pour into me because when it happened, and the impact was made, and it just gave me all the fuel and motivation I needed to continue to.
Yeah, man. And now look at what God is doing, bruh. And I'm loving what is happening for you in this season, bruh. And even by the time this episode releases, bruh, I'm sure many more things are gonna be done transfolded by then. But bruh,
Oh yeah,
But now we're gonna take a shift real quick. So in your forum, I asked you
Okay.
your favorite speakers. So you told me your favorite speakers. So now we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
I picked one from your favorite speakers, and this particular
Okay.
person is also one of my favorite speakers as well. So it was hands down. It was like I gotta choose him, man, because he's been so impactful in my life out of out of most of the speakers I've listened to. So man, let's check out this clip, man, and then we're gonna break it down and talk
Yeah.
about it.
Okay.
But I think at a certain point, life made him forget what he represented. And life stole his joy, his peace, his happiness. Life stripped him of that drive. Life took that dedication, that commitment, so much so to the guy that was once driven, to the guy that was once happy and excited about what he was a part of and what he represented and the legacy that was attached to it. That same guy ended up sleeping under a bridge. The only advantage I've ever had, everything I encountered and everything I ever hit in my life, I understood what I represented, and life will never take that away from me.
And that there is the great Inky Johnson, man. One of my favorite speakers too. He's one of those top three at that. So man, let me paint the picture of that speech, man. A little bit before that, he was talking to a young gun, and they saw a homeless man under the bridge, and he asked him. He said, "Why do you think he's there?" And he turned around and asked Inky, "Well, why do you think he's there?" And that's where we see Inky go into that part of that segment, what we just saw. So, man, let's give a breakdown, man. What did that particular clip mean to you?
It meant a lot, man. You never know people's situations or why they in situations, man. And the reason why that hit home because recently friend of mine who's a barber, which happened to be my barber, my homeboy is a barber, and our other homeboy is a videographer. We decided that we was going to do whenever we could, we was going to go downtown Atlanta and give free haircuts to the homeless community. And not only give free haircuts, but give them some food to eat, little care packages, some clothes or whatnot. But the most important thing we was going to do was be able to talk to them and listen to their stories. And one thing I learned is when it comes down to the homeless community, they get judged so much just from looking at them. They don't get treated as humans. They just get looked down on or put yourself in this situation or whoop de whoop, whatever. It's not the case all the time. Sometimes people lose their job one paycheck away from being homeless, and they actually lose their job and they're homeless. Sometimes people get injured at an accident and they can't work and they lose where now they're homeless. It's not always the cliche of what people think. So for me to be able to and those people, and I realized that man, everyone has a story. Everyone has gone through some kind of adversity in life. You just never know unless you ask them and talk to them. And I was always taught that you can learn from any if you're willing to listen. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking. I don't care if it's your age, somebody young, somebody the same race, or somebody different. If you're willing to listen, you can learn. And I think a lot of times, like touching on the adversity part is what we can learn from, right? If I get a mentor, I want to learn his adversities that he had to go through. I don't want to learn. I don't want to talk to the person this. No, give me your story. Give me the breakdown of what you went through so that I can learn from it and avoid it, hopefully, and get it as well. You see what I'm saying? That's just something that struck my direction of my conversation when you play. I wasn't even really gonna be talking about that, but that got my memory to kind of touch into it a little bit though. What you think though?
Man, that was some powerful stuff you said, man. And salute to y'all, man, what y'all doing, bro. I remember when you first told me about it, and even to this day, I still think it's a powerful thing that y'all are doing. And I'll say this, in society,
Hmm.
society has a way of looking down on you. And society forgets that
Yeah.
life is gonna happen. Life happens to all of us. Sometimes life hits us harder than the next person. But just because life hits you doesn't mean that gives you the
Mm-hmm.
right to dog them out or something, because you don't know their story. Even, in different other situations,
Right.
we try to take sides and all this kind of stuff, and we don't know the true story because we hear one sided. And it's a lot of hurt that
Mm-hmm.
people go through that they don't talk about, and sometimes they don't feel safe to talk about it, because if they start talking about it, people are gonna judge them. In the Southern hospitality, how we do down south, we ask, how you doing? But how you gonna handle it when I begin to really
Right.
tell you how I'm doing? I often tell people that you got to be careful about when you asking somebody how you're doing, because and the thing is, especially down south, I've observed this at a younger age, in my early 20s, that we're so quick to ask people how they doing, and what we do, we keep going. We keep walking, and we never really
Right.
take time to see how that person is really doing. So what does that person do out of formality? Oh, I'm doing good. Not knowing that in reality that person is really
Mm-hmm.
hurting and they're broken down on the inside. So, and I encourage anybody,
Yeah.
take that time to really listen, because you have no idea how much it'll make that person's day. And sometimes people just need to get it out. They're not
Mm-hmm.
asking for a helping hand or anything. They just want to feel heard. They just, and by you just feeling heard,
Yeah.
that makes them feel like somebody cares. We're in
Right.
such a
Right.
moment right now where we're really lacking empathy. We're really lacking
Mm-hmm.
showing that empathy, of showing that, hey man, I got your back. Of showing that I care about you, or that I'm just randomly just thinking about you. Because
Right.
we're so caught up into the me, that in the midst of our storms, we're not pouring
Mm-hmm.
into other people, man. And I'm big on that. Even in the midst of the stuff that I have been going through in the past year, I still wanted to pour into other people, because though I'm going
Mm-hmm.
through some stuff, I know God got me. And some people, they may not have
Yeah.
that strength,
Yeah.
and we're the ones who have that strength, and sometimes we have to pour into them, because they need that strength to keep
Mm-hmm.
going. And it's people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they need the God that's in us. The kingdom is
Yeah.
at hand. They need to see the kingdom of God. And we're dropping the ball at this because we're so caught up in our own adversity. We're so caught up in what we got going on in our world, that we're forgetting that there's a bigger world out here, bigger than us. This
Yeah.
world is really hurting right now, man, and it's gotten even worse since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Yep.
reality, man. The world has been hurting in so much pain and agony, and no one is paying attention, man. We pay attention for a moment, and then we get back into being comfortable, because as long as our life is good, we ain't studying nobody else. We don't pay attention
Right.
to things until life hits us, or until life hits us hard and we hit rock bottom, and then we want that same said help that we should have been giving other people in the long run.
Right. Right. Yep. Yeah, man, to be able to pour into somebody while you're going through your storms, man, that's just shows so much strength to it for you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, a partner of mine, it's crazy. I was at lunch at work, and I saw my partner going into the same restaurant. I was in the car just waiting for my food to be ready. Rolled down the window. I was like, "What's up, boy?" He said, "What's going on, Red?" And he's like, "Man, I ain't even really up to talking to people like that." I said, "I can dig it." I said, "All right, cool." So I went on the inside. He was going inside to get my food. As I get my food, I'm sitting down. He come and sit down, and he started talking. Discernment is a big thing. I had to discern that, okay, he initially talked. So something was clearly on his mind, right? He didn't want to talk about. But I wasn't going to, I'm not going to say, hey, man, you look like you're not doing. Want to talk? No, I'm not doing that. It's called discernment. What I did was sit down, start eating my food, and when he came over talking, the conversation to everything he was going through, right? And I didn't really, he didn't, like you said, he didn't need any suggestions, anything but a listening ear from a genuine person. And that's exactly what, and he said, man, I love you, bro, for get it off my chest, man. I said, bro, what you don't realize is that computer for me because I was having a terrible day at work. So for me to be able to silently pour into you, it fits at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So with you, bro, it's a beautiful to pour into people, but also get your cup at the same time, even though you still may be going through some things.
Man, that is definitely facts, bro. And as we transition to the end, man, I just want to tell you, man, how deeply, how much I appreciate you, bro. You know, it's all love, man. I love you, man. And I genuinely mean that, bro, because and you know, just like you was there for that brother, man, you've been there for me. And you know, it's a domino effect for all of us, how, you know, we're all there for each other, man. And I give much gratitude to you, man. I
Yeah.
thank you for the brotherhood, man. I don't take this for granted at all. So
Mhm.
I want to
Yeah.
let you have
Yeah.
the
I
last.
appreciate that, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. I want to let you have the last words to speak, and you know, pour into our listeners and our viewers.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad you said that, man. So I spoke about earlier about my morning routine, how that helps me get focused and days. One part of my money is it's called the four P's. It's called the four P's to a success, and Noel know you know about this. So the four P's are simply put. I'm gonna break the P's down. At P's are positivity, peaceful, productive, and prosperous. Now how it works is this. I'm saying this is a do in my morning routine. I talk to myself in the mirror, a pep talk. I say, listen, you're gonna have a positive day. What happens to you, you're going to respond to it in a way to keep what? Your peace. You're going to protect your peace at all costs. But you're also someone else's peace. You're going to gauge the temperature. You're going to be a peaceful temperature to any encounter that day. All right, look, we all got to go to work. That's something we need to do. So you're going to be productive. You're going to be productive today. What you're going to do, you're going to give it your best effort. What you can't do, God's going to do the rest because you know you gave your best. All right. Overall, you're going to have a prosperous day. God's going to bless you prosperously. And I'm not just talking about financially, because we know product when you go to a job, you get blessed prosperously because you get paid. But I'm talking about prosperously mentally, prosperously emotionally, prosperously physically, and most importantly, prosperously spiritually. If I do all those things, by lay my head down at night, I have peace of mind and a calm heart and sleep. So that's what I encourage y'all to do, man. Incorporate those four P's to your life. I guarantee if you say them every day before you get your day started, you will have a good day. You may have bad moments, but because your mind is trying to think positive thoughts, you're not going to let the moments turn into a whole bad day. The goal is to go to sleep with a peace of mind. The goal is to wake up with a peace of mind. So let's get it that way.
No doubt. Hey, bro, where can everybody find you at?
Oh man, it's very simple, man. Social media at Red Inspires. I got a podcast, Red Inspires. You can find my website, I am redinspires.com. On that you find my book, Lost Boys to Men from Heart to Your Eyes. It is a poetic story of trauma, training, and triumph. Find all that on my website. Yep, and yeah, that's it. You can find me. It's very simple. My book is great, y'all. Go ahead and get it. Just a little tidbit in there, right quick, Noel. I wrote this book 20 years. It was all poetry that I pretty much get through what I was going through as a man. I use it as an outlet. That's who I can talk to, that pen and pad. I can't talk to nobody else, but I can talk to that pen and pad. And I kept those poems over the last 20 years and I packaged it up into a book, not for, but to inspire someone else.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Y'all make sure y'all go follow him on social media. Make sure y'all grab that book. It's fire. And also y'all make sure y'all follow me at K Noel Motivates. Follow the podcast Instagram page at Relentless Conversations. Bruh, I thank you again for taking the time out, man, to chat with me, man, to have this conversation, this relentless conversation. Thank you again for even interviewing me, man. That episode was fire, man. And it was different. So I really enjoyed that one and
Yeah.
grateful for you, bruh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, man, I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to come on here and kick it with you, man. I definitely enjoyed it, man. I feel like we were just talking on the phone again, man. It was just one of them vibes, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you for locking in with me, man. Like I said, I love you too, bro. And you know, this year thing's about to get legacy building, man. We legacy building, man. That's what we doing, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing half of this year, bro. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to being great tomorrow for both of us, man. So by the time this episode drop, telling how much stuff been on, but I'm excited for the ride, bro. Excited for the ride.
Oh yeah, man. We definitely disrupting the systems right now.
Yes, sir.
But yo, y'all already know how we do it. To all the listeners, to all the viewers, to all the followers, y'all know how we do it. You leave no days left behind. You make the best of each day. And overall, you be relentless. I'm K Noel, your host of Relentless Conversations. And you already know, we are out.
Hey, aren't you glad? I'm bringing it back. My chains in the past. Got my confidence back. I ain't living in land. That ain't living like that. Hey, aren't you glad?